Okay, so for your first solve, you decided to do green cross. So what you did was you saw this piece here, this piece here, this piece here, and this piece here. So what you did is you moved this piece over here to white, and then you knew that this was opposite. So if you did an F2, it matched up to come over here. Then you did an L, and then you rotated, and then you did a D, R prime, D prime to insert that. So I feel like what you could have done is an X cross, so I will show you that example. If you notice this block right here, because this corner is already attached, so when you do a U, okay, so we notice that the edge is back here, so what we could do is a U, F2, R prime, D prime, right here to move this out of the way so we can move this edge in, so with a U prime, F prime, just like that. To get this piece in, what we could do is a wide U2, like that. So the edge is still back here and the corner is here with this block, and then what we could do, we can do an F prime, D prime to put that cross piece in, and we have nice X cross in the back right slot. Okay, so what you actually did for your first pair was you saw this corner here and this edge here. It was really nice. You took out this edge right here, but I would recommend not re-gripping here because you kind of did like you were in this position, you re-gripped like this. But what I recommend is just starting here, like pinching like this for this pair, and then taking it out with an L prime, U prime, L, like this, and then you're in home grip, and then you can insert it in the back. So it'll look fast like this. Like that. Okay, and also I realized while looking for your second pair, you also went like this, and then you were looking around quite a bit. So what I recommend doing is, since you recognize this pair like pretty decently fast, so you would want to look for your other pieces. I know this is a very difficult situation, but honestly, in this scenario, I would do this pair. It would go like this, like that. So that was the pair I would do, but you eventually settled upon this pair right here. This solution was not really that efficient, and like I said, I would rather you go to this pair because it would have been a really easy 2-gen solution, but rather you went for this pair and your solution was like this. So you rotated over here, U prime, L prime, U, L to bring that out. What you actually had right here was a free pair, but you were already into the movement, so you went like that, rotated, like that. So not the best solution, but I feel like for that pair specifically, what you could have done for this was manipulate the F moves. So maybe go like this, F prime, U prime, F prime, and then maybe sledge it in. Okay, so for pair number 3 for you, what you saw was this pair right here, because you rotated from here all the way over here to insert this piece, I believe. So what you had to do was just pair these two pieces up. So you went like this. I would just recommend pinching like this, so because you know this insert goes like that. So what I would do in this scenario, once you already have it paired up, is when it's already over here, you can do a U prime and then do a F, R prime, F prime. That's a very good case. It's very fast. Or from the back, you can go like this, wide R prime, U prime, R, U prime, M. But I would recommend doing this right here, and that saves you a rotation as well. Okay, so for your fourth pair, what you did was from this position, once you inserted the pair from here into here, you rotated this way and then rotated back. Once again, I would try to eliminate these rotations. So some techniques you can do this is by doing slow solves and trying to reduce the amount of rotations in every single solve that you do. So this case right here, you recognize this pair. It was very nicely executed. Actually, like, I wouldn't critique anything here. I know because you saw it from here. If it were from this angle, I would just manipulate the F moves, but I'm not complaining here at all. Your solution was pretty good. You rotated, paired it up like this, and then inserted it into the back. So that would leave you with this OLL right here. So I would definitely recommend learning full OLL because I believe you are at that stage now. This OLL is actually pretty simple. You can do it from this angle and do it like this. But instead for this OLL, what you decided to do was you R prime, U prime, and then you rotated sorta and did this move, an R prime. Instead, what I recommend doing is just do it all in one motion. Rotationless, it's like this, because instead you went like this, which will save a lot of time if you do it the other way. So it's just fast like this, then you went straight into an OLL, which is the anti-soon, just like that. So for your second solve, you did green cross once again, so your solution was actually pretty efficient. There's just one thing I would like to critique about it, but otherwise it was absolutely phenomenal and it was great. So for this green cross, so you started with this edge, you had this edge, and that edge right there. So you started with this one, so you did R prime, D to match that up, and then L, F prime, like that, to put those two in. Then you did a U2 to match this up, and then R2, just like that. So you also had a free pair in here, and then so what you could have done here is just did a D2, L2, D2. So instead of avoiding that U2, R2, but otherwise I think that was good. Just something to look out for. I'm just being picky, I guess, just showing you other options you can do. So for this one, you actually did look for your first pair. Here you notice this pair in this slot, so what you did was you took it out actually, and this is really good. What you did is you inserted it into the back instead of rotating it. So you went like that, inserted it right into the back. But if we look around, there are other options for pairs. You could have noticed this pair here. The pair choices actually aren't extremely good at this moment, but you also had this pair, which is also a pretty decent case. For this pair right here, what you could have done is L prime, U2, L, U prime, like that. And then I would just recommend waiting until this pair is taken out of its slot, because then you could have gone straight into another pair like this one. And then when you take out this pair, you can insert it. Okay, so for your second pair, what you noticed was this corner here and this corner right here. So immediately what you thought was this would pair up like that, which it didn't. You actually had to do a U and then pair it up like that. But instead your solution went like this for that pair. So you brought it out like that. Then you noticed, oh, that wasn't it. So you brought that corner up, U2, brought that over, and then you noticed, oh, we still need to pair this up. So U prime, and then you hid this edge, move the corner over, inserted that, and then put that in the back. So obviously there was a much better solution that I showed. So the solution, what you could have done is you could have done a U, L prime, U, L, and then inserted it into the back like that. So for your third pair, you went for this. So this is actually a really difficult case here, but I believe the solution you did was not as efficient as the one that I'm going to be showing you. So what you actually did was you went like this, L prime, U prime, L, you took that out and then it, just inserted it like that. Yes, the solution I was thinking about was when you have this pair, you just go like this. So you split it by doing L prime U L and then inserting it in the back, and then like that, inserting it in the front. So this was your fourth pair right here. What you did was a R U R prime. So you have these two here, and then went like that, and then inserted it right there. But what you could have done there is just do the U, F prime, U prime, F, and then inserted the pair like that. Okay, so this OLL that you had, it's actually very, very simple, and I'm sort of surprised that you don't already know it, considering you're almost sub 15, I would say, or you're trying to get to that goal. So this OLL is actually really easy. So you would hold it like this. So you had it like this, and you did F sexy F prime to solve it. But what you could have done is do a U2 and do F, U, R, U prime, R prime. So it's basically F inverse sexy twice F prime. Also, you could do it from this angle here with wide F sexy F prime. But instead for your OLL, what you did is you did two look and you went like that, and then you started here and you did lefty anti-soon and then righty anti-soon. So that obviously isn't the best case because you're doing sort of two algs there. What I recommend is learning the actual alg. So you could do a U prime and then R2 D R prime U2 R D prime R prime U2 R prime, just like that. That's the alg I use and most people use as well. But anyway, for PLL you are left with a G perm, so you take a couple seconds to recognize it, but the good thing is you actually know the rotationless algorithm for this. So what you do is this alg, which is executed very well. Okay, so for the third solve, for what you did for your cross is actually very good. In the beginning, what you did was a U prime and a D prime at the exact same time. Basically, this cross piece, you did green again, so you move this cross piece over here to match that up, and you move this piece over here to match that up, which is really nice, and your other cross pieces were here and here. So you went like this, and then F, R2, like rotated twice, I believe, something like that, and then or D2 L D2, so something like that. But I just want to also recommend something else for that. So you did a good job by doing this, and then I saw this, you would see this edge here, and then since there's already this whole entire block, you could possibly build an X cross. So you would move this cross piece down with doing an F prime here, L, F2, R2. And what you could do is actually maybe build double X cross, so you could have done like wide U, like that, U2, and then I saw this edge in the back, so U2, insert that just like that, possibly do another wide U2, I believe, and then you could also right here do this flipping algorithm, because when you move this back, this corner will come here, so what you could do is the flipping algorithm, so it'll look like this, and then inserting it just like that, and then you have a double X cross. But that's really special and just a case that I just found, and then you can continue on with the rest of your solve. So for your first pair, you notice this right here. Okay, so what you did for this case was you did an L prime U2 L, U prime R, U2 R prime, U, rotation, insert. So there's obviously a way more efficient case that I would recommend you do. So this case, I would admit, is really difficult to do. So what I would actually do is rotate here and do a lefty sledge sort of thing. So L, F prime, L prime, F, and then it's paired up here and insert it. The 2-gen algorithm, you can go like this: R, U prime, R prime, U prime, and then do this pair like that. Okay, so the next pair you did right here was this orange and yellow. So you went like this and then paired it up. But for this case in particular, what you could do is do U, rotate, and then do R, U, R prime, U prime, and then insert it here. Okay, so the next pair wasn't exactly the best, so you could have easily saw this pair, but you went with this one instead. So what you did was you went like this, and then inserted it in the back. So obviously that is not the best one, and I would recommend just going for the other pair in that scenario. Okay, so for this final pair, what you did was you did a U, fumbled a little bit, and then you took it out like this. If you were going to take the pair out, I would just recommend taking it out like this instead of doing a U2, but instead a better solution, what you could do is a sledgehammer. From this angle, it's actually really nice. So you do R prime, F, R, F prime, and insert it. And then you had this OLL right here, this really easy P-shaped OLL, so you did a U2 and then like that, which is really nice as well. But you did that rotation sort of thing that I mentioned before, where you went like this, rotated, and went like that. So I would not recommend doing that since you already had it at this angle. I believe instead of doing a U2, what you could do from this angle is do F, inverse sexy, F prime. And then your AUF was just like this, which is really nice. You recognized it pretty well. Alright, so thank you, Joshua, for entering. So if you're striving to become sub 15, I would just recommend learning full OLL. And also when you're doing OLL, so if you're going like this, you go like this, you rotate sorta, and you do the last move. I would not recommend doing that. Instead, just do it in all one fluid motion like that. It'll save a lot of time, especially if you're trying to still do 2-look OLL, but you should learn OLL. And on the side about F2L, I would just recommend learning some better solutions. So, for example, if the case is stuck like this, I'd recommend learning a lot better algorithms for like some of these tricky cases, because I find you have a little bit of difficulty doing that. So for this case, you could do a U prime, R, U, sledge, F prime, insert that. So just small tricks like that will definitely help, I believe, and learning full OLL and working on some AUF recognition at the end for your PLLs. But otherwise, your solves were great. Your cross solutions were pretty efficient for the most part. Thank you for submitting your solves, and that's all I have for this video, guys. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.